We were really strong here, obviously in the fall. It was only about 7, 8 races ago that we were here, and we just took what we had there and we refined it and made it better.
A driver who spent weeks struggling to even sit behind the wheel just dominated Las Vegas Motor Speedway and claimed the 61st win of his career. He overcame a pit road speeding penalty that dropped him to 31st place, methodically carved through the entire field, and crossed the finish line with a half-second gap over his closest challenger. That driver is Denny Hamlin. And what happened on Sunday, March 15th, 2026, at the Pennzoil 400 was one of the most emotionally loaded victories in recent NASCAR history. The 2026 NASCAR Cup Series season had been, up to this point, essentially a one-man show. Tyler Reddick had won the first 3 races of the season, a historic run of dominance that had every other team scrambling for answers. The question hanging over Las Vegas was simple. Would anyone break through, or was this Reddick's season to lose? Into that conversation stepped Denny Hamlin, a 45-year-old veteran driving the number 11 Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota, carrying more emotional weight than most people knew. To understand why this one matters, you have to understand what Hamlin walked through in the months leading up to it. In November 2025, Hamlin was 3 laps away from winning his first NASCAR Cup Series championship at Phoenix Raceway. An ill-timed caution ended that dream, and the defeat was crushing. Then, on December 28, 2025, Hamlin lost his father in a house fire, a personal tragedy that shook him deeply. In his own words, "I knew it took a few weeks to feel like driving. Over the last couple weeks, I definitely regained my love of it, got refocused. These are great opportunities for us." That is the man who showed up in Las Vegas, not broken but rebuilt. The Pennzoil 400 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway ran 267 laps around the 1.5-mile oval, covering 400.5 miles total. The race was divided into 3 stages. Stage 1, 80 laps, Stage 2, 85 laps, and Stage 3, 102 laps. Christopher Bell, driving the number 20 Toyota, earned the pole. Hamlin lined up second. Also in the mix, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, William Byron, and the previously dominant Tyler Reddick. Rookie Connor Zilisch in the number 88 Chevrolet was also a name to watch, though not for the reasons anyone expected. From the drop of the green flag, Hamlin and Bell controlled the race. Hamlin led the most laps in Stage 1, establishing early that his number 11 Toyota had race-winning speed. Bell, however, made his move in the final stretch and crossed the line first on lap 80 to win Stage 1. The top 5 after the opening stage: Bell, Larson, Hamlin, Ty Gibbs, and Bubba Wallace. Everything pointed toward a straightforward Hamlin charge to the front. Then came lap 84. During the Stage 1 brake caution, Hamlin was caught speeding on pit road. The penalty was immediate. The number 11 Toyota was sent to the back of the field, dropping Hamlin all the way down to 31st place. That is nearly last in a 36-car field. While the front of the field exploded into a spectacular 4-wide battle between Larson, Bell, Byron, and Elliott, described as flying in formation like the U.S. Air Force Thunderbirds, Hamlin went to work. Restarting 21st on lap 89, he methodically worked his way forward. By the end of Stage 2, he was back inside the top 5. That recovery alone is a story worth telling. Stage 2 was a spectacle at the front. Larson, Bell, Byron, and Elliott traded paint and positions for lap after lap. Larson led 28 laps before pitting on lap 121, then rebuilt a nearly 3-second lead over Bell. But both Bell and Byron tracked him down. On lap 159, Byron made a bold 3-wide move in the tri-oval and seized the lead. William Byron crossed the line first on lap 165 to win Stage 2, his first stage win of the 2026 season. The top 5 after Stage 2: Byron, Larson, Bell, Wallace, and Hamlin. Larson, despite leading significant laps, was beginning to fade. Hamlin, despite the penalty, was right back in contention. The final stage restart came on lap 174. Hamlin immediately moved to second behind Byron. 11 laps later, on lap 185, Hamlin drove to the inside of Byron and took the lead. He began to pull away, but the race was far from over. On lap 211, Connor Zilisch spun off turn 4, the first and only caution for an on-track incident all day. Under the yellow flag, Bell made a quick pit stop and exited first, with Hamlin second, Byron third, and Elliott fourth. Larson's slow pit stop dropped him to 8th for the lap 2:18 restart. Bell now led the field back to green. One lap later, lap 219, Hamlin passed Bell for the lead and never gave it back. In a race with 21 lead changes among 9 drivers, that final move was the one that decided everything. Chase Elliott was charging hard in the final laps. His number 9 Chevrolet was getting faster as Hamlin's car tightened up. In Elliott's words, "It was definitely better there towards the end than we had started the run. I thought there might be an opportunity. I knew that he was starting to get tight there at the end of runs." But the gap held. Hamlin won by 0.502 seconds. More than 3 seconds separated the rest of the field from the top 2. The final order: first, Denny Hamlin; second, Chase Elliott; third, William Byron; fourth, Christopher Bell; fifth, Ty Gibbs. Behind them, Chris Buescher; sixth, Kyle Larson; seventh, Chase Briscoe; eighth, who also overcame a speeding penalty himself; Bubba Wallace; ninth, Brad Keselowski; 10th. Tyler Reddick faded to 13th, but held the series points lead by 61 points over Wallace and 67 over Ryan Blaney. Justin Allgaier substituted for Alex Bowman, who is suffering from vertigo, and finished 25th. Only 20 of the 36 starters finished on the lead lap, with long green flag runs defining the race's character. There were 3 cautions for 20 laps total. When number 61 is not just a number, it breaks a tie with Kevin Harvick and moves Hamlin to 10th on the all-time Cup Series wins list alone. Hamlin reflected on that with characteristic directness. "My name stands out amongst, there's the legends of the sport. I feel very fortunate to be on the list. Those guys were far more talented than I have ever thought about being. I just work really hard. I still, to this day, work really hard on my craft to try to continue to get better. Days like today certainly make me feel happy about where I'm at in the sport still and what I can still do." At 45 years old, Hamlin also made it 2 consecutive wins at Las Vegas. He also won from pole there in October 2025 in the South Point 400. This victory arrived months after personal grief, months after a championship stolen in the final laps. It was Hamlin's first win of the 2026 season and his 3rd overall at Las Vegas. Elliott's runner-up finish carried its own significance. He hadn't led a lap at Las Vegas since NASCAR introduced the Gen 7 race car in 2022. His honest assessment after the race captured both the frustration and the growth. "As bummed as I am to come up that close to a win, I have to kind of bring myself back to a reality check how much better we ran today than we've been running. Really proud of that." Elliott is clearly a championship-level threat for 2026. Zooming out, the 2026 season picture is sharpening. Reddick's 3-race winning streak is over, and the field is wide open. Joe Gibbs Racing placed 3 cars in the top 5, Hamlin, Gibbs, and Bell, signaling genuine team depth. Hendrick Motorsports, with Elliott finishing 2nd and Byron 3rd, is right there as well. The point standings have Reddick ahead, but with Wallace, Blaney, Hamlin, and Elliott all capable of winning races, this championship race is only just beginning. The Cup Series heads to Darlington Raceway next Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time on FS1 and HBO Max. The track too tough to tame. Hamlin arrives with momentum. Reddick arrives looking to reclaim his dominance. And Elliott arrives knowing he came 0.502 seconds away from ending his own Las Vegas drought. Is Denny Hamlin a legitimate 2026 championship contender?